just awesome. Oh, and before I forget, Merry Christmas, Aunt Shirley. Just got home from work, and this is day number 2 of the sourdough starter, and I'm just getting ready to feed it, saying, "Feed me, Seymour." That thing rose up awesomely. Awesome. See if I can take the lid off here and show you. Look at the bubbles. Success! So for most of my adult life, and most of my youthful life, as a matter of fact, I was a professional baker. Grew up at a bakery, worked in the bakery every weekend for Pop, eventually owned a bakery of my own, and in all that time, I never made my own leavened bread, my own naturally leavened bread. So, I'm playing around with this sourdough starter. And this is like day, oh, I don't know. Oh, shoot. That's a good one. This is the third day of the sourdough starter. And the first day really didn't do much at all for me. The second day took off pretty well. That was yesterday. And today is the third day. So I'm going to do two things here. I'm getting a separate container set up for the bread dough. So that's what this one's going to be. This new container is going to be the bread dough. And this first container that I'm pouring all this stuff out of is going to be one that I'm going to let over ripen and use for sourdough pancakes, that kind of stuff. The recipe, or the process that I got to do this, was off of King Arthur flour. And I used a cup of rye flour and a half cup of lukewarm water in my case, because the RV is a tad chilly, to start the starter. And it's always good to use a whole grain to get your starter going with, because the natural yeast will be found more likely on the whole grain flour, like rye, than it will be found on just a general all-purpose flour. So the first day was that. The second day was all-purpose flour, 1 cup, and then a half a cup of water. But on both days, I had to remove and discard half of the starter before I added the next stuff. So that's what I'm kind of doing now here. So this is basically about half in here, and I've been using tepid lukewarm water to get this thing going, but today I'm not going to. Today I'm just going to use regular, in my case, bottled water, because I don't have a whole lot of, I don't have water here in the trailer, generally speaking. So basically it's saying I'm going to do it to this one here first. Here's another cup of, this is organic all-purpose flour. I imagine I could use organic bread flour too. And then I'm going to do a cup of here, or a scant cup in here as well. And this one is the bread. And it's kind of amazing because, like I said, I've made a ton of bread, folks. I've made more bread than most people you will ever meet in your life. But I've never done it with a natural leavening agent. And it's supposed to make it it's supposed to make it healthy for you. It's supposed to make the bread much healthier. So then I need a half a cup. So this is a 1/4 cup measure. I hope I read that right, because if not, could have an issue here, tissue. I don't think so. I think I'll be okay. So it's kind of cool just to watch a living organism, which yeast is, do its thing. So I've been using this coffee spoon to mix it all up. The first time you mix it, make sure you've got all of the dry ingredients combined, all of them. to do that. Now, it seems like it's kind of stiff to me, but I imagine it's every day it seems a little less stiff. That first day, it was like concrete. It was so hard. It was crazy. There we go. That is chilly. That water's been sitting in my car, so this is going to take its time. Now, the inside of my trailer, generally speaking, up towards the ceiling right now is probably about, I want to say 75 degrees up there. The lower part of my ceiling, or the middle part of the room right here, is probably in the 60s. And then the floor is in the 50s. I don't know if this is going to work. We'll see. No matter what, though, it's going to be fun. Fun to do. See where it goes. I'm just doing something over the top to keep the dust from getting into it. So this should be very interesting. This should be very fun. I'll keep you updated on how this is going and where it's going as far as fermentation over the next week as I do this, and then I'll try and bake up my first batch of bread, and we'll let you know how it turns out. All right, there is the bread batch, the second batch. There is the original first batch that I'm going to use for sourdough pancakes. I'm going to let this one go completely ripe, and this one here I'm just going to keep working, and then I'll refrigerate it and everything else. But I thought you might be interested in seeing this. So once I get myself to somewhat the tepid temperature that I want, then it becomes a game of, did Sean get the water too hot? I don't think I did this time. Awesome. So when you complain about it's so hard to empty the dishwasher, and oh my gosh, it's so hard to do the dishes, and then you wonder why you see me eating off of paper plates so often, well, because for me to do any dishes at all, this is what I have to go through. Now, the pans, the pots and pans, right? Not as big of a deal, because I generally clean those out right when I'm done cooking with them. I always have. I think that comes from growing up in, the bakery, food industry, restaurant industry. The frying pans, I almost never wash. I'll pour some warm water in there and, kind of clean them around while they're on top of the stove still. And then a lot of times after I rinse them, I'll heat them to dry. Definitely heat the cast iron to dry all the time. And then re-season the cast iron every time. Hit them with a little bit of oil. And then heat that up as well. Kind of bake that on there a little bit. You're probably thinking, look at that stuff. It's not clean. Whoa. Hello there, mister. Hello. Okay, let's get rid of this stuff real quick. I'll do this. Awesome. I'm going to take whatever I have left, pour it down the sink, because the water that I use for that, for the dishes, I don't drink. It's not, I mean, I could, but it's really high in iron content. It's Brother Will's water. I get it over at his house, fill it up there. So it's, like I said, it's not really the caliber for drinking. And then I just take this and store this back in the other room again. Final thing that I do, let me get rid of this here. And dry out my sink so I don't have it all spotty. So if you're going to live off grid, there's a lot of this kind of stuff that you're going to take for granted when you first start, and it'll be something different for you. The last thing I do is under the cupboard here, I have a little water jug. Is it there or is it on this side? Oh, it's on this side. And this is RV antifreeze, and this one is a biodegradable one. And I just take a little bit and pour it in there so that it goes down into the elbow of the water of the drain, to avoid freezing the elbow down here, which has happened before, and it's a pain in the neck to get it to thaw back out again. It takes a lot of water and a lot of heat to get it all cleaned out.
Not much, but it's the first real Christmas tree I've had in, well, since 2013. I took the inverter that I had on the wall. It's a 400 watt power inverter, and that's the battery for the original motorhome that I drove up here in. Had Will put it on the charger for me the other day because it was over at his house. And then use the 400 watt power inverter connected to that battery and the light line plugged into that. It's not designed to do this for a long period of time, but it's beautiful. And I'm going to sit by the fire and I'm going to enjoy the Christmas lights. If you have not done so, head on over to the Facebook page. The link is down below, where I have roughly 13 to 14 2-hour music podcasts that I'm releasing every couple of days. They're free to listen to and free to download. Merry Christmas from Sean in Alaska. I'm going to enjoy this. Living off grid in Alaska in the winter has its challenges. I will agree to that. With the wind blowing today, I had to change out of the kilt and put the long pants on just to be able to enjoy the evening that I'm enjoying right now. But as promised, I am sitting next to my campfire looking at my Christmas tree. And it's a beautiful thing. Merry Christmas, folks.
Oh, Christmas tree.